It started with a storm, the kind that makes the whole sky look like it's about to split open. Rain was hammering the stables when Savannah Aldridge got the call from Maxwell Harrington, and he didn't waste time sugarcoating it. Her $1 million breeding program wasn't going to get his investment unless she proved she could maintain something of value in her personal life. Translation: show up to the gala this Saturday with a husband, or at least a man who looked like one. 1 week to find a fake marriage good enough to impress the board. Ridiculous. But then Silver King, her father's prized stallion, spooked at the thunder and bolted into the dark. She chased him into the rain, only to see another rider cutting him off like it was nothing. The man calmed the stallion with a few quiet words she couldn't hear. When he turned, rain dripping off his hat, she recognized him, Wyatt Cole, the rancher who'd been trying to buy Silver King for months. And suddenly, a reckless idea took shape. By the next morning, she was on his land, watching him work a chestnut mare with the kind of patience you couldn't fake. She made her pitch, pretend to be her husband for 1 week in exchange for a chance at Silver King's breeding rights. He laughed at first, then agreed, but only on a handshake. No contracts. From the moment he walked into the gala in a black suit, she realized Wyatt could play the part. He charmed her investors, spun their love story into something poetic, and even danced with her like they'd done it for years. But the perfect act cracked when a stranger named Cameron brought up an old rodeo accident. And Wyatt's face changed, guarded, haunted. She didn't push, but she knew there was more. Over the next few days, they kept up the performance. Brunches, hand-holding, whispered asides. A couple's riding exhibition forced them into perfect sync on horseback, their movements so natural it almost felt real. Then she overheard whispers, Maxwell telling people she'd hired him. The seed of doubt was planted, but when a paparazzi camera flashed from the garden that night, Wyatt shielded her without hesitation. It was in the stable at dawn that everything shifted. She found him caring for Silver King like the horse was his own. That's when she discovered the papers, a breeding certificate tying Silver King to the Cole family bloodline, and foreclosure documents with Maxwell's letterhead. Her father might have unknowingly taken their prize stallion years ago, and now Maxwell was foreclosing on Wyatt's ranch. When she confronted him, the trust between them splintered. But the truth was bigger than both of them. Maxwell had been playing them from the start, using her father's legacy and Wyatt's debt as leverage. She took her evidence to Wyatt's father, who confirmed the history. By the time Wyatt showed up, she had a plan, one that would hit Maxwell where it hurt. The night before the gala at Maxwell's estate, they gave the crowd a kiss meant for show, but it didn't feel like acting. Then came the fight, accusations, and Wyatt walking out. She almost let it end there, until she uncovered proof Maxwell's scheme went deeper, and that Whitmore, his partner, was planning to buy both the ranch and Silver King. At the charity auction, Maxwell paraded doctored messages to make Wyatt think she'd been using him all along. Whitmore showed up at the ranch, waving millions in cash. Wyatt, thinking they were out of time, nearly took it, until Savannah stepped in. She convinced Whitmore to finalize the sale at the public auction instead, giving them 1 day to turn the tables. The next afternoon, Maxwell accused her of a stunt, until she produced the breeding papers and board approval. Whitmore tried to push higher, but finally folded. Sold. Then came Silver King. Before the bidding could start, Wyatt stood and declared the stallion was already in a breeding partnership with Cole Ranch, filed and registered the night before. Maxwell exploded. Security closed in, and then Wyatt's father rolled in with tears in his eyes, holding the deed Savannah had just cleared of debt. She didn't buy the ranch to keep it. She was giving it back. On one condition, they rebuild it together. Maxwell's threats fell flat. The board already knew the truth. And as they walked out into the sunlight, the week-long deal they'd started was over. But neither of them was pretending anymore. 6 months later, Cole Ranch was alive again. New fences, fresh paint, horses in the fields, and Silver King in his rightful place. Sire to a new generation. Savannah's hair was loose now, her laugh freer. They'd built an equestrian therapy program, blending her business savvy with his horse sense. On the hilltop, they watched foals play in the pasture, her hand resting in his, both wedding bands glinting in the sun. The storm that had brought them together felt like a lifetime ago. And maybe that's the point. Some deals are meant to end, but others become the start of something you never saw coming. So let me ask you, Have you ever made an arrangement that started out fake but turned into something real? Because sometimes the most unexpected bargains are the ones that end up changing your whole damn life. That I used to think that was the end, standing there on that hill, watching the foals chase each other under a sky so wide it could swallow your past whole. But turns out, the real work doesn't end when the papers are signed and the bad guys are out of the picture. It starts after, in the quiet mornings and the long days when there's no audience and no reason to pretend. 6 months into rebuilding Cole Ranch, the rhythm of our days felt almost ordinary. We'd wake up before sunrise, coffee in hand, him heading out to check the fences while I went over invoices in the office. Except ordinary isn't the right word. There was something different about building something together when you knew what it had cost to keep it alive. And maybe that's why I didn't notice the trouble coming. Because for the first time in years, I'd let myself breathe. It was a Tuesday when Wyatt walked into the barn with a letter in his hand. His jaw set in that way I'd come to recognize, not angry, but ready for a fight. The bank might have been off our backs, but Maxwell wasn't done. He'd found a new angle, pushing for the county to rezone part of the land for development, which was just another word for cutting it up and selling it off piece by piece. The vote was in 3 weeks. You know what this means? Wyatt asked, leaning on the stall door. That we have 3 weeks to make sure nobody in that county hall forgets what this ranch means, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. And just like that, the performance began again. Only this time, it wasn't a fake marriage we were selling. It was the truth. We opened the ranch to the public. Free tours every weekend, riding demonstrations, therapy sessions for veterans in progress, so people could see exactly what they'd lose if the rezoning passed. Folks came in skeptical, left with tears in their eyes. One afternoon, a kid from the therapy program, barely 12, legs weak from an accident, managed to ride Silver King at a slow trot. The look on his face was the kind of thing you can't buy or fake. Wyatt saw it too. Later that night, he said, if anyone in that council votes against us after seeing what this place does, they've got no soul. But Maxwell wasn't playing fair. Flyers went up around town claiming the ranch was drowning in debt again, that we were exploiting community funds for personal gain. Lies. Just like before. And just like before, we knew where they came from. The night before the vote, Wyatt found me in the office, still at my desk past midnight. You can't win people over if you look like you've been through a war, he said, pulling the laptop out of my reach. Come outside. We ended up on the porch swing, the night air warm, fireflies drifting over the pasture. And without any speeches or plans, he said, no matter how tomorrow goes, I'm still here. This place, you, us, that's the only deal I care about now. The next day, the county hall was packed. Maxwell was there in the front row, smug as ever, and I swear I could feel the tension rolling off Wyatt beside me. When it was our turn, we didn't just hand over reports and profit statements. We told the story. The storm, the deal, the lies, the fight to get the land back. We even brought in the kid from the therapy program, who spoke into the microphone in a voice barely louder than a whisper. This place gave me my legs back. In the end, the vote wasn't even close. Rezoning denied. Maxwell walked out before the results were official. That night, back on the hilltop, the air smelled like rain again, but it didn't feel threatening this time. Wyatt took my hand, his thumb brushing over the ring he'd given me when the whole pretend thing stopped being pretend. Looks like we get to keep building, he said. And maybe that's all love really is. Not the big speeches or the perfect galas, but choosing the same person, the same fight, day after day, even when the storm passes. So, tell me, have you ever found yourself fighting for something you didn't even know you wanted at the start? Because that's where the Real story begins.